That makes more sense. Like, everyone's
Yeah.
What did I just say right there? Wow. I don't know why.
Hit it.
They're here.
Don't cross the streams.
Bueller.
I'll have what she's having.
Great Scott!
Why did it have to be snakes?
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Bueller.
My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
I'll be back.
I am your father.
Bueller.
I feel the need for A for C.
It's showtime.
Hello, sister. How
Hi.
are ya?
I'm good. How are you doing today, sister?
I am hanging in there.
Yeah, because you came to visit me, and instead of watching movies, I got you sick.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's usually
Yeah.
how it works.
So yeah, like, welcome back to the Silver Screen Sisters Sick Edition.
We're not that bad. We'll be fine.
We'll be fine.
I just sound more stuffy than normal,
Same.
but I always sound that way, so...
So, I was just down there, but how's everything going other than being a little sick? Pause. Drinking the coffee.
Get caffeine in system. Good. I feel like there's a million things to do at school for Asher. Mm-hmm. Eli is starting to get into daycare, so I'm really noticing how obsessed he is with ABCs now.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And what else? Nothing. I'm trying to figure out more time management, and then I got a job opportunity. Just seems really easy, because it would be like 5 a.m. shift for maybe 2 days a week, maybe 2 or 3.
Well, there you go.
So that's potentially in the works for next month.
Woohoo! That sounds exciting. What's it going to be for?
Just coffee. People are struggling right now to hire on certain individuals, and a lot of people do not want to work at 5 a.m. And I'm like, hey, that's my get up and go, so I don't mind. If I get a free coffee out of it, hell yeah. So,
Heck yeah.
But yeah, that's about it. What about you? How's the backhoe situation?
Oh, God. Well, they're all gone, thank goodness. For those not in the know, because none of you would actually know, we tried to record yesterday, but then my neighbors ended up having, like, septic replacement stuff going on. So I just said, screw it, I'm going to go take a nap. And I did, and it was great. So, and now I'm feeling a lot better and more happy to actually talk about this movie, because it's like one of the best 80s movies ever. Whoop, whoop.
That we both know about.
Yeah, we both have watched before, and I bet most of you have. It is the movie Clue.
Do you remember, like, the first time watching this movie for yourself? Because I felt like it was always on.
I know. Yeah, I don't remember the first time I've ever watched it.
Okay.
I know I've seen it 100 times, probably. But do you remember?
No, I was just curious, because it was always on, like, I don't know what channel it would be right now. It seems like Turner Classic Movies, but I don't think it was that old. So
Nah, it probably was like on Stars or HBO or who knows.
Yeah.
I don't know.
yeah, we should get on into it.
Whoop,
Let's
whoop.
see. I have some notes on some, fun trivia. Fun fact of this was the first movie ever based on a board game.
Yes.
Did not prepare. I wrote in pencil, and it's hard to see. Yeah, so first movie based on a board game. Each character in the movie, they weren't dressed to their names. However, their cars were the same color of who they were in the
Oh, I never even
the game.
noticed.
Yes. So, like, yeah.
Well, now I have to watch it again just so I can look at it.
Just to, like, confirm. Other things that were fun, like, let's see. Why did I not put these in order? I'm like, how can I make this hard for us?
Things don't have to be in order, We can do whatever we want.
You're right, because life's never in order.
That's right.
So, all right. So the board game, like the attention to detail in the movie, the rooms are in the correct order as the board game. So like clockwise, you've got the hall, the lounge, dining room, kitchen, ballroom, conservatory, billiard room, library, and study. I found something interesting about the poison, because that's not a way to die, but it used to be in the original Clue for, I guess, the US and UK.
Interesting.
That was one way, Colonel Mustard did it in the study with poison.
Oh, interesting. So now that reference in the movie makes a little more sense.
Well, I didn't do it.
Oh, I need a drink.
Maybe he was poisoned. Mrs. Peacock, it's all right.
And I guess they did release that back in the 90s game, the Clue Master Detective Edition.
Oh, okay.
When they split into pairs in the movie, they partner corresponding to the rolling order of the game. So, like, if you look at the rules, Miss Scarlet goes first, and that's why Colonel Mustard's like, ladies first. And there's, like, all these little things. So,
okay.
I think the attention to detail was awesome.
Yeah.
Even though it was another disappointment in the box office at this time, but another cult classic now.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Yeah. I bet you if we released it now, everybody would go see it. Like, if they re-released it in theaters, like, I would go, hands down.
Well, it's funny you should say that. Because,
oh, is it coming?
No, not that. But when they released it, they have the 3 endings, right?
Oh,
so
yeah.
the director was like, I think it would be cool wherever the city was. On this side of town, do ending 1. This side of town, do ending 2.
Oh, my God.
But people didn't want to spend the money to go see it 3 times.
Yeah, no.
So that's probably why it was a disappointment.
Yeah, I can see that. Because, like, 2 of the endings are kind of like ad hoc endings to me. And the last ending is the one that actually makes sense.
Right.
I like how it's flexible in that way, though, that it really could be any of those endings, but...
Let's see, what else, real quick. I did write a fun little fact about storytelling that I thought you would like. Let me grab it.
I did read up a little bit about the writers of this movie.
Ooh, nice. I'd love to hear what you have to say. Because I was just going to say one thing about it, that the movie spoofs Agatha Christie. So there was a lot of her tropes. And I actually have heard about her before, but I was like, what's her thing? So you've got the spooky old mansion by a mysterious host, bodies piling up one by one.
I think she's most well known for Murder on the Orient Express and, of course, I'm blanking.
Wait, hold on. There's direct references in the movie. That's what it is. Okay. So The Unexpected Guest is one.
Oh.
Murder on the Orient Express, they said that in the movie.
Got it.
And then 13 at Dinner, which is another one. So.
Okay.
Anyways, fun fact. I thought you would know more about that than I did, but...
Yeah, probably not.
Okay.
That's actually really good trivia. I like that.
Yeah. I did take a whole bunch of screenshots about who they were going to have for certain actors. Some people didn't work out. But you had something about the storyline you wanted to talk about?
Oh, yeah, about just the writers.
Yes, talk to me about them.
Yeah, so the writers are John Landis and Jonathan Lynn, and Jonathan Lynn was actually also the director. And John Landis, he's probably the most familiar one to most of us. He wrote and directed movies like The Blues Brothers, which is another big favorite of mine, and he also produced Blues Brothers 2000. He also did An American Werewolf in London. He also helped produce and direct Michael Jackson's Thriller music video.
Oh, nice.
Like, weirdly, right?
I read that and I was like, what movie's called Thriller? That makes more sense.
Yeah. He also wrote Twilight Zone, the movie, and did a whole lot of other stuff. Jonathan Lynn is also known for his TV series Yes, Prime Minister, which was, I think, a BBC show. But there's not really too much of his stuff that I know. And I'm probably, I just don't know a whole lot about this guy. Oh, he did direct My Cousin Vinny, which is one of my favorite movies as well. But yeah, I was curious who the writers of this movie were, because just the sheer amount of different types of humor in the movie, there was slapstick, there were dad jokes, there were derogatory jokes, there were like all sorts of different kinds of jokes in there. And it was kind of like a little bit of humor for every single person, which I think is why this movie is so loved by so many people.
I have to laugh at this because I watched it with Cody, and the end line where he's like,
I'm going to go home and sleep with my wife.
That's Cody's sense of humor. Like, I swear he's even said that exact line. But yes, you're right. The humor is amazing. I like how watching it as a kid versus now, you don't notice a lot of things.
Oh, yeah.
As a child.
Yeah, what's blackmail? Like, what?
And we would watch this religiously. I'm like, politics, blackmail, murder. That's a normal child's movie. Yes, I'm all about it.
It's weird how it can still be funny and entertaining for younger audiences, even though it's talking about some pretty big issues. I don't know why, but again, it's attributed to the writing, in my opinion, like the kind of humor that they put in there. Like, there's a little bit of humor for everybody in this movie.
All right, so a couple more fun things. Let's look at cast references.
Okay.
Because Cody also was like, is Miss Scarlett Carrie Fisher?
Oh, no.
I was like, no, but they were going to pick her.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
That would have been good.
But she was in rehab. So she had some shit going on. She had a friend she referred, but last minute they picked Leslie Ann Warren.
Mm-hmm. Who did a phenomenal job.
Yes.
Like, all of them were great.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Jennifer Jason Leigh, Demi Moore, and Madonna were considered for the role of the French maid Yvette.
Oh, my God.
Yep. And apparently Colleen Camp, who did it, she actually showed up in the maid suit.
Oh, nice.
So it was basically definitely her body.
Yep.
I mean, if you got it, use it, I guess. But
yeah, right? If you've got it, flaunt it.
If you want it that much. But also respect. Don't touch.
Right.
Let's see.
Which, that was the whole thing in this movie, of course.
I did not realize as a young child how much boobies there were. Just, like, flying around.
Oh, my God. It was so funny, though. Like, if they were to make the movie just like that today, I think it would have been... They would have been crucified for that kind of humor.
Oh, yeah.
But I think they also approached it in a good way in this movie, because it's like the women are aware of how attractive they are, and they own it, and they are powerful because of it. Like, they know they have power over the men.
Right.
Because of how their bodies are.
I mean, that's what Miss Scarlett was in charge of in her capitalistic ways of
exactly
getting with those men. Oh, this was another fun thing. Mr. Body. His real name is Lee Ving. He's like this front man for Fear. It's a punk rock band.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so his name is Leaving. So Mr. Body will be leaving soon.
Ah, that is funny.
So I don't know if that was intentional, like they had to have him for it because of his name, but I thought that was funny.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I know that Tim Curry was a friend of the producer or the director, so he got the part after people kept falling out of it, and they were considering, God, what's his name? I don't have it in front of me. Mr. Bean's character.
Oh, Rowan Atkinson.
Yes, but they're like, no, he's not American enough or something.
Tim Curry, is he... Oh, man. Now I'm questioning. I thought he was American, but he has a British accent in this movie, right?
I feel like he is British, but I don't know.
He is
now.
British. Sorry, yeah, he is British. He was born in England. Yeah.
There we go. Okay.
Okay, well...
Well, you know what's funny is first off, when I think of Tim Curry, I think of either It... Or I think of Home Alone.
Do you have Prince Albert in a can? You do? Well, you better let the poor guy out.
I always think of Rocky Horror or Muppet Treasure Island.
That's right. Yeah. See, you're going to kill me. Everyone's going to, like, come at my door and, demand I go to the theater because I haven't watched that movie yet.
What movie?
The Rocky Horror
Oh
Show.
my God. I can't believe you haven't seen that yet.
This is why we're doing this, okay? I haven't seen a lot of movies.
That's true.
A lot of good movies. Anywho's. Well, I did find that Christopher Lloyd, he was Mr. Plum, so he played in this, and he also did Back to the Future the same year. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to read this real quick. I found it. It made me laugh. He starred in those two movies set about 30 years earlier in the mid-50s, both of them. Both taking place at a site with the word hill in the name. So you've got Hill House and Hill Valley, respectively. And both having a thunderstorm during the day of their climatic events.
Great Scott. I know, this is heavy.
Oh, dang.
Everything comes in threes. I don't know
Everything
what to
comes
make
in
of
threes.
that, but it
That's
made me laugh.
funny. Oh, that's good.
Yeah. So, did you find anything out on the music?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, first of all, I had to laugh because the name that came up on the credits was John Morris. And John Morris is, fun fact, I had a classmate named John Morris, and really cool dude. But, you know, in a graduating class of like 44 people, there's only so many of us. So I saw that name pop up and I was like, oh my God, yeah. But what I thought was, when I started looking into him, like the name was familiar outside of just my classmate. So I started looking more into, who is John Morris? What kind of movies has he done? So he has done like Dirty Dancing. He's also done a lot of movies. He was a big collaborator with Mel Brooks. So he's done like Young Frankenstein and History of the World Part 1 and Blazing Saddles and even The Producers. Like The Producers is one of my favorites. And he was really great. I mean, a lot of his filmography has comedy type of movies, and you can tell with the kind of music that even from the very beginning, like it's adventurous but also like tongue-in-cheek kind of funny.
Yes.
I felt like he just nailed it. Like obviously now I can't even watch the movie without that music, and I bet you I could have like the best soundtrack or the best score on the planet written by, I don't know, Hans Zimmer or whatever, but it would be wrong compared to this. And I also very much liked the use of other songs in, like, on the record player, and at the end, like, they actually had songs coming in.
Yes.
To supplement the score, which I thought was very apropos for this kind of a whodunit spoof kind of movie. But yeah, this guy, he's done a lot of things that I just didn't put two and two together about. Like, it's pretty cool to know the other movies that he's done now.
And when you said Producers, there's an old version and a new version, right?
Yep.
Okay,
yeah,
just making sure.
Yeah, they did the original movie, The Producers. That one had Gene Wilder in it. And then they did the musical. And after the musical, they did the movie musical with Matthew Broderick and Nathan Lane. And all of them are good. All of them are good. It's just Mel Brooks. If you like Mel Brooks, you're going to like him.
Perfect.
So, yeah. Do we want to jump into the movie? Like, what were some of our favorite parts and some of the parts that didn't quite make sense?
Yes. Are you saying this movie did not make sense to you?
In the beginning.
Well, first, I never realized Tim Curry stepped in dog shit when he showed up. And everyone around him was like, what's that smell? Like, we never noticed that. I looked into the political stance of the 50s because they were definitely talking about all these things. Like, again, communism is just a red herring, and capitalism and socialism and, like, all these things. But everyone's in it for themselves. We get that.
Of course.
But anyway, so I think that helped me kind of make this movie make sense. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
But what confused you?
Well, I'm sorry, just jumping off of what you just said. It was based in the 50s, but I really like how the women were their own powerhouses too. Like, they weren't just the little old lady at home. They were, Miss Scarlet had her own prostitution business, essentially. And Mrs. Peacock was taking bribes from other people to sway her senator husband's vote one way or the other. And Mrs. White, Madeline Kahn, who's probably one of my favorite actresses ever, had no qualms about, just taking matters into her own hands.
Husband should be like Kleenex. Soft, strong, and disposable.
You lure men to their deaths like a spider with flies.
Flies are where men are most vulnerable.
Right.
I just like that a lot. But in the beginning, I guess I was a little confused because they were all being blackmailed by, quote-unquote, Mr. Body, who was really Tim Curry. He's Mr. Body, we find out at the end. And that he had this other guy come in. He was the butler, and they just switched roles, basically. But, like, at the same time, like, when the 6 players come in and they start talking to Mr. Body, the butler, God, now I'm all confused. The guy who is not Tim Curry, he starts telling them about, like, I'm the one that's blackmailing you, and here are some gifts. And they all open up these lethal weapon gifts. Like, why would he do that?
Well, and that's where I think, again, as a butler and your employer's like, do whatever I tell you.
Mm-hmm. If I was Mrs. White, I would be like, what does this have to do with anything? You know what I mean? Like, why aren't they all questioning his motives for giving them a murder weapon? You know what I mean?
He tells them to kill the butler or something.
Oh.
And I think, again, where it's like, Tim Curry, as an employer, this is how things are playing out. Maybe there's no gun or no bullets in the gun, or nobody's going to kill you kind of deal, right? But, like, setting it up to where this happens. Obviously, it's a movie. I can't say why. We gotta have to set it up. But to me, leaving the true butler in the dark and then it coming to this, that's the only thing. Because Mr. Body has all these informants,
Yes.
Because we find out the cook also used to work with Mrs. Peacock. There's the informant, the things. So it can add up, and I just see it being a manipulation game behind the scenes.
I just think, like, from Tim Curry's perspective, he's been getting blackmail money from all these people for years, right? Why did he set this up to now expose not only his informants, but, kill his butler for what end?
Yeah, I don't know.
See, that's where I got confused.
I feel
I was like,
probably,
why is this even a thing?
Well, if there was a way where he could get away with it and be like, I'm just the butler and arrest everyone.
Yeah, maybe.
Because, again, the 3 endings at the end, it makes sense to a point of, like,
he's
the
just trying to cover
final
his
ending
tracks.
is the sickness.
You got this.
But everyone kills 1 or 2 people. So that makes more sense that it was like, oh shit, everything hit the fan.
Yeah.
The ending with Mrs. Peacock, that old hag couldn't do it all by herself, so I don't know why.
Absolutely not.
I mean, it was entertaining, but anyways.
Especially with how dramatic she was.
Yes. So, yes. So, at the beginning, we established Tim Curry's running around, making sure everything's good because, he's a butler. And he buttles.
And he buttles.
We buttle. And then Colonel Mustard. He shows up first. And who comes right after him? Is it Mrs. White?
I think so, yeah.
For us loving this movie, I think because we're also sick, it's hard to remember the chronological order.
Yeah. Eventually they all show up.
They're all here.
They're all here.
And then they go sit down
and
for
they
dinner.
all are smelling their feet. By the way, I would not want to be anywhere near those dogs. Like, And it's funny to me how, like, are these dogs not really his? Because if he's Mr. Body and living in that house, is he just renting the house? Like, what's the deal here? You know what I mean?
He probably has dog trainers because he brought out the whistle. Like, it seems like if he's in charge, he doesn't really get how the whole house works.
Yeah, that's true. That's very
maybe
true.
Another downfall to his plan because who knows?
Right?
But
that's a really good point. One thing I really liked about Tim Curry's character is, like, in the beginning here and all throughout, like, the first half of the movie, I feel, he's very reserved. And he's just, letting things play out. He's not getting too excitable. He's just, it is what it is. He's having fun stringing these people along, in a way.
Right.
And then when the explanations start happening, like, that's when he, like, goes apeshit and just goes running around the house. Like, it's such a difference to what he was like in the beginning. Like, in the beginning, he was the reserved butler. And at the end, he is the eccentric rich person just running around saying, look what I can do. And that makes sense from, like, as an antagonist. Who doesn't love an antagonist monologue? Let's be real. We want to know why they did it. We want to know how they did it. And then they get caught. Whoop-de-doo. So in the beginning, like, they all, like, they're like, well, why are we here? We all have these pseudonyms, and now we all get to have dinner together. And Mrs. Peacock just has word vomit at the dining room table, and it just... I was impressed. I could talk for a long time, as I'm sure everybody who's listened to us knows. But Mrs. Peacock, she took it to a whole nother level. That was impressive.
Yes, and we find out her favorite dish is monkey brains, apparently.
Though rare.
Though rare. You know, okay, I know this was the 50s, but as an adult in a social media world, if I'm invited to anywhere and there's somebody I know or do not like, I'm going to talk about it right off the bat. You know, Miss Scarlet knew more of them, right?
Oh, yeah.
But she's
and, like,
in her business, she's reserved.
Mm-hmm. And Mrs. White knew Yvette, and Colonel Mustard must have recognized the driver that came in, you know, and of course, Mrs. Scarlet knew the police officer.
Yes.
It's really weird how, you know, Mrs. White and Yvette, when they met, they flinched, as Tim Curry says, and she doesn't really explain why until the end.
Well, in the 50s, you are a lady until you're just, like, so gone. You're like, flames, flames.
Flames on the side of my face, breathing, heaving breath.
Apparently that was all impromptu. Like, she was just, like, going, she was like, this is what I'm thinking. And I like how he, like, just goes and moves on. He's like, moving on.
Yeah, I just love Madeline Kahn so much. I just, everything that I've seen her in, she steals the show for me.
What else is she in?
Oh, she was in Blazing Saddles. She was in Young Frankenstein as well. She actually voiced the Gypsy Moth in A Bug's Life. She had a big relationship with Mel Brooks as well. It's kind of funny how we're seeing the overlap of who these people were working with. We have so many people that were involved, like the music. John Morris was involved with Mel Brooks movies, and Madeline Kahn was in, like, History of the World Part 1, and also Young Frankenstein. It's just, you know, all these people are so interlinked with each other, and then you have writers that have worked with Dan Aykroyd, and then other writers and directors that have worked with Tim Curry, and now you have all of these brilliant people coming in together making this mix of talent type of a movie. I think that's what really sets it apart from others.
Yeah.
I love it. I just love it.
It's definitely a small community in the acting world, too.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's more so big when it comes to people, like, working on sets or extras, but when it comes to those, like, set actors and actresses, it's just a small world.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
So, yeah, then we get to the heart of the show where the butler takes everybody to the study, right?
Well, what happens is Mr. Body shows up at dinner after everybody talks.
Mm-hmm.
Real quick, Professor Plum, he works for the World Health Organization.
I heard that, and I was like, oh, hey, I know what that is.
And he said United Nation of something. But anyways, it's UNO WHO. That's his acronym.
UNO WHO,
or his
that's funny.
Thing for that.
I love the humor in that, where he's like, I worked for the United Nations.
You were once a professor of psychiatry, specializing in helping paranoid and homicidal lunatics suffering from delusions of grandeur.
Yes, but now I work for the United Nations.
So your work has not changed.
Yeah.
Like, that kind of quick humor, I just freaking love it. Like, that's probably my favorite kind of humor, on top of dad jokes.
Well, and they all had different kinds, too, like Colonel Mustard.
Are you trying to make me look stupid in front of the other guests?
You don't need any help from me, sir.
That's right.
That was his humor, was the dad jokes. And then Christopher Lloyd, I feel like he was more slapsticky. Mr. Green, he was pretty slapsticky as well.
So I do have to bring up in this movie, because we talked about our last movie about how movies can present themselves, in a homophobic light.
Oh, yeah.
And in this one, thinking about how it was made in the 80s, and Mr. Green comes off as, I am a homosexual when it comes to, like, their dirty deeds being exposed.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm not ashamed of it. I just don't want to lose my job, blah, blah, blah. I felt such a difference between how we talked about this in Dune compared to this. Like, it was so, like, nonchalant. It is still in the 80s. It was like, you'll lose your job, but the
and
way
even
they
back
played
in the
it
50s. Oh, yeah.
Yes, I liked it. But then, of course,
it a lot.
that one ending line...
I know.
Where you're
it's like he,
what?
And it makes me think, like, how long has the sting operation been in place?
That too. That too.
To the point where Mr. Body has been blackmailing him for how long for being gay?
Right.
Like, what? Great character development on all levels.
Have you ever given any thought to the kingdom of heaven? The kingdom of heaven is at hand. Armageddon is almost upon us.
I got news for you. It's already here.
Go away!
But your souls are in danger.
Our lives are in danger, you beatnik.
For a movie based on a board game...
There was so many characters. We have the 6 main characters, and then we have the Mr. Body, and then we have the butler, and then we have Yvette, and then we have, like, some other little smaller, like the cook and the police officer and the driver who comes in later, and, like, every single one has some form of character development, even the smaller characters. It was very fascinating to learn more about these characters and realize that they're bad people, but you can also root for them at the same time. It was very, very well done.
That's why I think having the 3 endings, like the first 2, I like the idea of maybe one person or a couple people have been behind it, but the final one where they all are in on it, justice is served, even though sometimes you don't want it to be.
And it just doesn't make sense, though. Like, Mr. Body could have just gone on blackmailing them forever. So I don't get it.
Tim Curry as the butler, his side story comes out later, but it was all his wife. Yeah, his wife killed herself, and because they were being blackmailed from Mr. Body.
Oh,
so it does
right.
pull it in, but again, watching it as a child and then watching it as an adult one time, I just look at the funnies in it. It's hard to follow the whole storyline, but I did find myself looking at every scene as they were running around who was missing.
I did too, and I noticed there were some people missing, and it works with all of the endings, like how some people popped in and out.
Yeah, they really thought about it.
Yeah, depending on the shot and everything. Yeah, they really did think about it, which is A+ attention to detail.
So we established Mr. Body gives everybody a weapon.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to name who had what, because who cares? I don't remember.
I don't remember either, and it all gets shuffled up anyway.
Plum had the revolver at first because
then it goes off. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So lights turn off. Someone screams. Ah!
Mm-hmm.
Gunshot. Mr. Body's on the floor. Mr. Plum says he's dead. He's a terrible doctor.
Okay, yeah.
That's why he's a psychiatrist, or was.
Oh, that's some shade.
No shame.
Final word on the matter? Being killed is pretty final, wouldn't you say?
And yet he was the one who died, not you, Mrs. White, not you.
So I think at this point they start questioning, well, who would want the butler dead? And then they all come to this conclusion that, oh, the cook must know something. And they go run over to talk to the cook. And that's when they discover that she's dead, too. And at that point, they're like, oh, shit's hitting the fan. And what do we do now? And, oh, the murderer must be in the house.
Right. And meanwhile, Yvette is recording. So they run to the kitchen. And then they run back.
And she's screaming.
Well, she screamed after she was listening to them talk about the poison. So we first got Miss Peacock screaming. She gets a little slap. And then Yvette starts screaming, and they all run over there.
Yep.
That's when I noticed, like, Mrs. Peacock was missing for a second.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, Yvette's, sob story.
Oh, yeah.
Did you notice, by the way, when Yvette was, out, was one of the weakest links, she didn't have her accent. She was, like, speaking to the person.
Oh, yeah.
And so it makes sense with the second ending, or the first one with Miss Scarlet.
Uh-huh.
Because it was her employer.
Yep.
So anyways,
that makes sense.
Fun.
I didn't even put that together, but yeah, I can hear it now.
Yeah.
Huh. That's pretty great.
Yeah. They take Yvette with them back to the lounge.
And that's when they discover that Mr. Body...
There's no body.
There's no body.
Why is that so funny? I don't know.
Right? Dad jokes.
And then the body is gone.
Mm-hmm.
And then... shitballs. Apparently that's what it is. What the fuck, man?
Right.
Because... So I think when they got Yvette... They went and they started talking about the blackmail stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And things started coming out.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, that's right.
You know, we see... What are those...
the negatives.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I could not figure out the negative word. God. I am special. But yes, so they all start talking about their things. And so, yeah, I think the doorbell rings. And it's the one guy, he broke down and he was looking for a phone. And he recognized somebody.
Yeah.
But in between that and the weapons being locked up, somebody does kill Mr. Body again.
Yes.
And it was with the candlestick.
Yep.
Because, you know, Tim Curry's, I'm shouting.
I'm not shouting! All right, I am! I'm shouting!
So they lock up all the weapons, and that's when they start splitting up, because they got the one guy locked up.
Yep. They split up to search the house for the killer, and they're like, there's somebody else in this house, which... Who started that rumor, actually? Was that Tim Curry? Yeah, that was. He's the one who had them all split up into groups to search the house, because it was his suggestion that the murderer is still in the house.
Right.
Which, brilliant, by the way, especially if you go by the last ending, when all of them are involved.
And then there was one part where they were talking about exposing each other, like, at the end.
I was going to expose you. I know. So I choose to expose myself.
Please, there are ladies present.
Those things were awesome. And the Jehovah's Witness.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I don't know if it was that. Whoever was telling you that your kingdom's coming.
Oh, yeah, that was the FBI chief or whatever.
I
eventually.
know, but their disguise was brilliant.
Oh, yeah. The police officer comes in. Like, that's when, you know, Tim Curry also mentions at that point that the police are going to be here in an hour, so we need to find who did this and discover who did this, or who's blackmailing you for real. He's basically pitting them against each other in a very masterful way. I think I just solved my own problem.
There you go.
There it is. Yeah, I got there eventually, guys. Sorry.
Ta-da! So when they're paired off, Colonel Mustard and Scarlet, they do find the secret tunnel to where the first guy who broke down, they found out that he was killed with the lead pipe. And so they just start freaking out instead of going back. Yvette goes and grabs the gun in the open cabinet.
Come out! The door is open!
Why are you shooting that thing at us?
To get you out!
Yeah. A+. Like, now you're starting to see a little bit more of her character. Like, she's clearly comfortable with a gun in her hand.
Right. After that, too, when the cop shows up and Tim Curry locks him in the room, you can't do that to a cop, by the way.
No,
That's
wrongful imprisonment or whatever, yeah.
Right, but I love that he was cleaning up the chandelier, and it's like he's standing there with the broom, and it's all gone. It's all clean, like nothing happened. And that was a big-ass chandelier.
Yeah, I was going to say, it would take him a while to clean up.
If Sia was swinging on that, come on.
I just heard that song this morning, actually. That's funny.
I do like that song a lot. It's fun to try to sing, but anyways. So yeah, lots of chaos.
Officer, I don't think you should go in there.
Why not?
Because it's all too shocking.
But anyway, then the cop dies. Surprise. And, like, they get a phone call from J. Edgar Hoover. Like what? That was, like, out of left field.
Well, and that's what I looked up, actually.
Okay, good, because I didn't.
Okay, stand by. Hold on, I got something for you. it was a whole thing like propaganda, if you will. You know, like everyone's pointing like, oh my God, everyone's communist around us.
Yeah.
When that was not the case. So again,
Communism was just a red herring.
so when he called, it makes sense because of Mr. Green being the FBI.
Yep.
Or in the other endings where Tim Curry's working with them.
Yeah.
But anyways, Hoover was the director of the FBI, and the references are callbacks to the communism thing. The movie is set in the 50s at the height of the Cold War and McCarthyism. So all the political reference are more set to the time frame and to show the general corruption of everyone regardless of their socio-political affiliation. So I found this information on a Reddit post because people ask questions and other people just answer. I love it. Somebody else wrote, this movie was made towards the end of the Red Scare. Remembering this as a child in the 80s, where there was a lot of legitimate fear of communism leaking over from the USSR and China. J. Edgar Hoover was the first director of the FBI and was viewed as one of the primary first-line defenders against the communists. Most of this sentiment went away with the dissolution of the USSR into the individual Soviet states. Then somebody replied to that, Hoover was a criminal queer who ruined the lives of thousands with files on them. The worst.
Oh my, what?
And then I laughed at that because it sounds like, have things changed? Because I feel like people who are like politically driven today say that about politics now.
Yeah, pretty much.
But anyways, a long thing on that political side of this movie. Which they put in the movie to be very comical. It was perfect, and not much has changed.
Nope.
We should move on. Where else are we going?
So they're still searching the house after the cop is dead, right? I want to say.
Yes. So that's what it is. They keep searching the house, and when the lights go off, whoever turns the lights off
answered the front door.
And answers the front door and, killed whoever and turns the light back on. I believe that's the part where it goes into the 3 endings.
Yes.
There's one part when they turn it back on, it's the narration where it starts going into A, B, or C.
Yeah. So, I mean, that part I'll never ever, I don't know why, but I'll never forget that singing telegram part. It's just so catchy.
I am your singing telegram.
She was somebody, too. She was, in a rock band or a singer in the time.
She looks like a young Liza Minnelli to me.
Oh, fuck. If it's her, I'm going to be so upset for not looking it up. But she did kind of look like her, huh?
Yep. Let me look. Where is it? Singing telegram. Oh, no. It's Jane Wiedlin.
Does it say she's in a pop band or some shit?
Oh, she became a member of the Go-Go's. Yeah. She was part of the Go-Go's. Now that's hilarious. But yeah, she was pretty A+ on that for having less than 2 seconds into the movie or in the movie.
Right, but is a part of Plum's backstory.
Yeah.
That was the student. So.
And then at that point, then Mr. Body / the butler, Tim Curry's character, takes them all back into the study and okay, by the way, I know who did it.
Right. And he's I know who did it.
Yep. And then the fun part happens. I love all of this part. I can watch 800 explanations of him running around the house saying A, B, C, or D.
Right. So should I have in my hand every ending? Should we go over one by one?
Sure. Let's do it.
All right. So the first ending, Yvette murders the cook and Mr. Body, but it's under the orders of Miss Scarlet. Mm-hmm. So this is the ending where Miss Scarlet is the one who kills everybody. Mm. And she, kudos to her for using her resources.
No shit, right?
But yeah, she wanted to keep her business for, extorting them all safe and sound so she could keep getting money.
Yeah.
Pretty easy,
There was 1 shot at Mr. Body in the study, 2 for the chandelier, 2 at the lounge door, and 1 for the singing telegram.
That's not 6.
1 + 2 + 2 + 1.
There was only 1 shot that got the chandelier. That's 1 + 2 + 1 + 1.
Even if you were right, that would be 1 + 1 + 2 + 1, not 1 + 2 + 1 + 1.
Okay, fine. 1 + 2 + 1. Shut up!
This is so silly.
And, as a kid, I'm dyslexic, so I can't really put those things together in my head very well anyway. And it gets all backwards and jumbled. But then when I was watching it, I was like, oh, yeah, it makes complete sense now. The way they were saying it.
And then the last gunshot brings down the chandelier, but isn't it the same chandelier?
I think it might have been the second chandelier. Like, there were two chandeliers in the main hall.
There we go. Okay. Mm-hmm. Then that makes more sense.
Yeah. And, again, with the dad joke of the chandelier falling behind Colonel Mustard.
Yes.
Like,
he can't take any more scares, man.
Right?
So, yeah, basically, ending A, she did it. FBI comes in. And then the ending B is definitely less believable because Miss Peacock does not look like she's, running marathons or crossfitting or anything. And she was able to kill everyone.
Right?
So, I mean, but money will make you do stupid things. So I guess it's fine. She hulked it out.
There's a side to her that I think people underestimate because she's actually pretty smart to start taking bribes to sway her husband's vote, right? Was that her decision to do that, or was that her husband's decision to do that? And how far will she go to continue to do that? You know what I mean?
You see, like the Mantis, we always get our man.
Mrs. Peacock was a man?
Now, the final ending is what really happened. And each murder was committed by a different person. Mm-hmm. So I've got the list. We've got Mr. Plum. He actually did kill Mr. Body. Miss Peacock killed the cook. Mm-hmm. Colonel Mustard killed the motorist. Mm-hmm. And picked out the key from the pocket of Tim Curry. Just heads up. Mrs. White killed Yvette, and Miss Scarlet killed the cop. Mr. Green is therefore accused of killing the singing telegram girl, but that's when whoever has the gun is the person.
The gun is missing. Whoever's got the gun shot the girl.
I shot her.
You?
And that's when we reveal that, like, the cops aren't coming. Oh, no. We all can leave, and we don't have to talk about this again, and I'll still continue blackmailing you.
Yeah, he just wanted to clean up the informants. That's right.
Right, and then Mr. Green, all of a sudden, boom, I shot you.
Yeah,
it's like,
right.
I did shoot Mr. Body.
Yeah. Yeah.
In the hallway with the revolver.
With the revolver, yeah.
I'm going to go home and sleep with my wife. I don't know why that is so fantastic.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, Mr. Green was the quote-unquote homosexual. So now he doesn't have to pretend to be a homosexual anymore.
But when you put it that way, then it's like, oh, a guy's pride, like, look at me and my masculine self.
Yeah, that's kind of shady.
That's but they put it in a way that it's funny. It's not like I have to show everyone I'm not a homosexual.
Right. You
know, people just need to be people, man. Leave them be.
Exactly. Well, unless they're blackmailing you left, right, and center, then
you have the right to defend yourself with a candlestick. That's how it works, right? And those are my 2 cents for if you ever need to hide a body. So, rating this movie.
10 out of 10.
Okay.
Sorry. I was just so excited.
Could something be better? Should it just sit at a 9 out of 10? Because everything could be better.
I just think that's the joy of it, though. Like, of course, the music could be better. Some of the socio-political things probably could have been tweaked to not be so offensive in some places. I mean, it's perfect the way it is to me. What about you?
Well, I guess I'll do 9 out of 10 because I want my kids to watch it, but also now as an adult, I'm like, why were we watching this over and over?
Oh, man.
It is funny. It is great in so many ways. So I'm going to say 9 out of 10 because I bet down the road there will be a movie that might surpass this.
Yeah.
Just might. Because there's so many 80s movies.
Yeah. I guess my one criticism is that it wasn't very clear the motivations behind why Mr. Body had decided to do this whole thing to begin with, if he intended to just keep on blackmailing them anyway.
I think it came out that way. Maybe we just didn't catch it.
I'm going to have to watch it again.
If they remake it, there's what you want, I would say.
I don't know if I would want it to be remade, but it could be done really well if they did. But
yeah, you're right. It's one of those, I feel like, classics that we shouldn't mess with.
Communism was just a red herring.
But yeah.
Yeah, 10 out of 10. I can't love this movie enough. I don't know. I think they should just let it lie. I don't think they should remake it. But if they do, they would have to go a completely different direction with it.
Well, on that note, I feel like this was a great recording because it didn't take too long and, you know, we got to talk about it.
We got to talk about it, and we know the movie so well, even if we don't know the order of events.
Right, and if we're both sick, like, what's happening? We get the feel of it. Yeah. If you've made it this far and haven't watched it, go watch the movie.
Go watch it.
Or if you remember how great it is after we talked about it, go watch it. The movie.
Okay, what's next?
I have a box. There's a box.
Okay, I'm nervous.
Gotta get the shake. All right. You look really nervous.
I'm always nervous. I don't know why. Okay, I'm ready.
All right, so we're going to do The Untouchables.
Ooh, what's that?
1987.
The Untouchables.
Is it a scary movie? Let's look.
Oh, God.
It's a crime drama with Robert De Niro.
Ooh, and Kevin Costner and Sean Connery. Says, during the era of prohibition in the United States, federal agent Elliot Ness sets out to stop ruthless Chicago gangster Al Capone. And because of rampant corruption, assembles a small hand-picked team to help him. Okay, I'm down for it. Oh, it won an Oscar.
Nice, I'm excited. I want to see him make the delicious booze.
Oh, it has Andy Garcia in it, too. You're like, who?
No, I was just looking at more of the description. I think it's pretty cool because I wrote a paper for alcohol and prohibition in college because working at the distillery. And fun fact, the distillery gin, or the gin that I used to work for, is an American wet gin. So, like, you just soak it. And that's what they did when it was prohibition. You just, fill up your bathtub with juniper berries and alcohol and don't die.
I'm just remembering Carol Burnett in Annie. Lucky me. And then she's stirring the gin in her bathtub.
Honestly, that's like my spirit person. Am I going to be that way? I already have the robe on. I love my gin martinis. My kids drive me crazy some days. But yeah, I'm excited to watch The Untouchables. So.
All right, next week, The Untouchables.
Sweet. Billy.
Yes.
Give them info.
Okay. If you guys ever want to reach out to us, tell us your stories about these movies that you love or don't love. Do you know anything like behind the scenes that we don't know about? Is there something that you picked up on in a movie that we didn't pick up on? Like, let us know. We want to know more about these movies and we want to share your information with everybody else. So you can email us at connect@silverscreensisters.com, or you can pop onto our website and fill out a form on there, www.silverscreensisters.com. And we have a Facebook group, a Facebook page, Instagram, Twitter. You can find links to all of that on our website. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it, right?
Perfect. No, I think that's it. They've got all the resources, and wherever they're listening to us, I'm sure our website's there too. So,
all right. Well, until next time, go watch The Untouchables.
Yes, and we will talk about it next week. I love you, sister.
I love you too, sister. And we will talk next time.
All right. Sounds good.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others and leave a rating and review. To catch all the latest from us, check out our website at silverscreensisters.com. Silver Screen Sisters 80s edition is hosted by Billy and Sophie. Editing is done by Sophie, and cover art was done by Billy, with special illustration work done by Bacencia. Intro and outro music composed by Future Mono, and hold music composed by the Mini Vandals.
This is a Silver Screen Sisters production and is powered by Coffee and Yoga Pants.